Hello everyone and welcome to another Transformers review. Now this review was requested by Smuzno #1, which is Dave, of course, a guy I'm sure a lot of Transformers fans are familiar with. Now I picked up this particular figure, which is transmetal terrorsaur, from one of my boot fair hauls, and Dave said any chance of me doing a review on it, so I thought I tried to help, so here it is. Now it's not a figure I'm as familiar with, but I've done a little bit of research to try and find out all the little quirks and that for you. It has got one slight little bit of damage, which I did note in my boot fair haul, but it won't detract from actually being able to show you the figure anyway. Now, as you can see anyway, he is a beastwars transmetal, which basically means he's got a beast mode which has been robotized, I suppose you class it as. Now, as far as I was aware, in the actual Beast Wars cartoon, Terrorsaur was actually killed at the point where the Beast Wars actually got the transmetals, so not quite sure how this fits into the continuity of the storylines, but a good figure nonetheless. Actually would kind of have made a good Dinobot swoop, to be honest. Would have fitted in quite nicely in that figure line if they'd have done the Dinobots. But anyway, get into Terrorsaur. Now, as you can see, he's a Pteranodon, various chromed metallicized, whatever you want to pronounce it, parts on him, all chromed out. Very nicely done, and actually, considering this has been played with by a child in the past, is in remarkably good condition really. The only bit of damage is a little point broken off there, which would be the same as that part there, but other than that, yeah, pretty good. One slight issue where there is a little tiny crack, which I've kind of solved the problem by doing a little repair. I will show that in a minute, and it is something obviously to look out for, especially on Beast Wars toys. I tend to notice a little bit of a trend with some of the figures. But all in all, really nice little Terrorsaur mode. Does have an opening, if I can get my thumbnail in there, does have an opening beak as well. And you can sort of pose it around, as with any figure. You can move some of the leg joints around, if I can unpop that. So you could kind of have it turn around and have his feet down like so, so you could pose it, bring the arms round. They're all on ball joints, so good posability, so you could pose it that way as well. But he does have a third mode. Now, I've tried to research this third mode as best I can on the net. Now, to be honest, it almost seems like it's a mystery mode. Now, I've seen different people do different things, and one is basically just bringing, I believe it was bringing the arms out like so, bringing these rear wing parts round and just flipping over these top parts off the engines, a little bit like Frost's turbines on top, and sort of doing something a little bit like that, or even bringing the arms forward. And also you can open up, that's the other part as well, opening up this back piece to expose some sort of engines. And that's pretty much it from what I've seen of other reviewers doing this other mode. Now, to me, that's not really a third mode at all. Now, it did occur to me that there is a variation that effectively I've come up with. Now, whether or not it's correct or not, again, I'll have to sort of like say it's sort of a bit of a mystery at the moment. Now, to me, this part at the back looks a little bit more like a cockpit. So rather than having this as the front with just pretty much a Pteranodon, pterodactyl sort of like front to it with just a bit of engine work at the back, I was actually thinking sort of close this bit up like so, and to be honest, that does look more to me like a cockpit than a rear part of a jet. Swing the legs around to the back underneath so that the claws are out towards the head, effectively, like that. Swing the beak down, but leave the little fin up so it becomes like a little tail fin. And then I was actually sort of thinking you could either bring these parts in towards the cockpit, still keeping those turbine bits uncovered, but that could almost be an attack jet mode in reverse, like so. Or failing that, bringing these wing bits back round to face the front kind of gives it, well, and angling them down a little bit as well, which is also something I thought about, is actually sort of giving it a slightly Klingon bird of prey look about it, and again a sort of an attack jet. It's only sort of like something I've come up with, so I'm not sure either way which is correct, to be honest. The third modes on the Beast Wars transmetals were always a little bit bad, let's be honest. They're not the greatest alt modes, so I think they just thought up as an afterthought, effectively. Now, getting him to his robot mode, you need to bring the legs out, which I'm already straightened out for that mode. You need to flip from this joint here, which is like a metal pin joint, flip that down and round and fold the beak in. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because like I say, this isn't a figure I'm as familiar with. You need to then poke away the little head vent, bring his head up at the same point, and then flip the head back up into the chest, so he's got his beak on his front now. And then that all comes down. If I get that in close, you can see a peg underneath there. At the top of the legs there's a post hole, and that peg goes into there. Now it's a bit of a push, but it clicks in okay, and it's a nice firm joint. So effectively then you've got the head of the Pteranodon as the chest of Terrorsaur, and his little head at the top there with his very little angry face. With the legs, you basically just need to spin them round so you've got the yellow part of the upper thigh, those two stripes at the front, and then just bring out the feet. So he's still using the same legs, same feet in either mode, effectively. Just straighten those out so that he can be stood up. A little bit of sort of like playing around with that just to balance it out, and he'll stand. And then basically speaking, the same claw hands that he has in Pteranodon mode, he still uses in robot mode. So all you need to do is bend those round at the elbow, and that gives him his arms as well. Now that does seem ungainly with these parts here. Now you can unsnap them off on both sides, and this is actually how I found him, with these parts separated, so I was lucky that they still had them. Now with these you can then take the post part there, and there is a small hole inside the hands, and you can put those posts into the hand like so, if it will play ball, and then he gets to hold the wing parts as weapons, effectively. Not the greatest of weapons, let's be honest. I've seen a lot better if they're supposed to be guns or knives. I'll just get that one in there. Sorry if I went out of shot then. So you could almost say they almost look like boomerang weapons, to be honest, but yeah, not great, but it does add a little bit of play value. And of course with these wing parts you can either move them up or back down, however you want to do it. To some degree they're quite nice up, because it kind of gives him a little bit more height, but you, like I say, you can fold it round to the back like that as well, so just really down to personal taste. And the only bit left to move is just this metallized part at the back, which you can then fold down to the back. And as it's a warm day, you can also see on the back he's got his rub sign, which is hidden away. If I can get that into shot for you and let that focus, and as you can see he's a Predacon because he's got a little Predacon insignia. It does show how warm it is today, the fact I don't even have to rub that to actually get that to actually show up today. So there you go. So you get the Predacon insignia, and obviously on the Maximals they've got their Maximal insignia as well on their rub sides. Like I say, he's a little bit temperamental standing up, but all in all a pretty good figure, and you know, quite nice. It's probably one of the nicer of the Beast Wars figures I've got so far. I do like Tarantulas. I think that figure is actually pretty good, and now I've managed to actually get that all complete and sort out the legs and that for Tarantulas. That's probably another figure that I'll review quite soon. But yeah, so that's Beast Wars Terrorsaur. I shall just move the camera up slightly so I can bring him in, and you can get to see his face sculpt. Hopefully that will focus. There we go. Face sculpt in a little bit better detail. And the other little bit what I was going to explain, where there's a weakness on these Beast Wars figures. Now on these ball joints on these arms, now if you can just about make out, there's a little line there just ahead of my fingernail, and there's a little crack in there. Now I don't think it's particularly down to the metallized plastic. I don't think it's like GPS in the gold plastic syndrome kind of way, but I just think it's a little bit of strain. So be careful when you're buying Beast Wars figures and have a good look at the ball joints. I did reinforce that with a little bit of super glue in there, so it's actually held up reasonably firm, and actually is firmer now than the one on this side now. So with a little bit of play you can sort of fix them up without it causing any long-term damage to them. But yeah, I'll let you have a look as well. All the little bits of chrome, even get little bits of touches of chrome on the weapons. Obviously all chrome round in the turbine part. I'll just flip that round so you can get a bit more detail of what that all looks like inside. Really nice, nicely moulded, nicely done. Little feature which doesn't add a great deal to the figure, but it adds a lot of detail to the actual toy, but play value is sort of limited. As you can see, he does come with Terrorsaur written also on the weapon on that side, which is obviously his wing as well. But yeah, really nice figure, well worth picking up if you find him cheap. Great figure. I would say he would have been a deluxe class if I bring in deluxe Soundwave from the Prime line, probably a good example. You can see they're not far off the same size. In Pteranodon mode, or Terrorsaur mode, I suppose he would be. He's actually quite a nice size figure. It does spread out the actual whole of the actual plastic of the figure by making the sort of long wings, so he has the sort of impression of actually being a little bit bigger than a deluxe in the beast mode. But yeah, that is Beast Wars Terrorsaur. Like I say, well worth a pick up if you can find him cheap. I would say go for it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, Dave, and anyone else that's watching, please feel free to subscribe and comment, and I shall see you again for either a Transformers review or a book fair haul. Thanks for watching.